my friends, welcome to my channel. Let's do a haul. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am getting my master's in library and information science. I'm about halfway through my program, and I went to the TLA, or Texas Library Association, conference a few weeks ago, and it was a blast. Wow, it was my first time going, and there are so many amazing talks and panels that you can go to. There were so many amazing authors present. There were tons of publishers there handing out free books like candy. I have so many books that I grabbed, some for me and some I've already donated to my library, but these are ones that I personally want to hold on to for at least for a little bit before I potentially donate them or sell them, depending on what kind of books they are, or keep them because some of these are truly amazing. All of these were free to me. I didn't spend any of my money outside of the ticket that I purchased to go to the conference. Once you pay for the conference, you can decide what you want to go to. So you can go to panels, you can go to discussions and roundtables, or you can go to the exhibition hall where all of the publishers and stuff are. So I did a bit of both. Let's just show you what I got. First things first, I went to a panel for young adult thrillers, which is outside of my comfort zone, but I ended up having a fantastic time. One of the authors, Joelle Wellington, was there. She was so funny and witty, and she was doing a signing, and I got their Vicious Game. She signed it and everything. I don't really know what this one is about, but based on her personality, I just really want to read it. So what I'm going to do is, if I don't know what it's about, I'm going to go ahead and put a picture right here of the synopsis based on what the publisher says, and then if I do know about it, I'll tell you a little bit about it. The next one in that same panel was The Bad Ones by Melissa Albert. She also signed it as well. She was also really interesting to talk to because she just has a really interesting way of viewing the world and viewing her writing, and I really enjoyed hearing that. In this book, there's one night and 4 people disappear across the town. Apparently, it ends up having to do with kind of this like lore or silly little story that the town folk tell that actually has some truth to it, and it's where, you know, these people go missing for sort of like a sacrifice. It's an arresting crossover horror fantasy threaded with dark magic. Not on that same panel, but I got to see them and talk to these authors. Secret of the Moon Conch by David Bowles and Guadalupe Garcia McCall. This is like an Aztec mythological retelling. A parallel timeline where it's telling the story of the past, but it's happening in like these individuals in the modern time, and I just thought that was so cool, and the authors were really sweet. Also from that thriller panel, we have That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. This was her debut, I believe. This has such great reviews, and apparently it's like really twisty and turny the whole time. The way she described it had me like on my toes already, and I wasn't even reading it. From what I understand, the first scene, this girl wakes up in a ditch and she doesn't remember her name, and so this one man picks her up from the police and is like, I'm your father, but of the memories that she's regaining, she doesn't remember him at all, and she finds that really suspicious. Another already published book I got was The Spells We Cast by Jason June. I actually got to sit down and talk to Jason June twice because I did kind of like this event where he was there, and then another time when he was signing my book and he recognized me. He was so sweet. Like, I just really enjoyed chatting with Jason, and this one sounds like it is a really interesting time. Apparently there's this world where people have magic powers, but they have to go through a certain kind of like competition at like coming of age to be able to keep those powers and use them. And so our main character, Nigel, is coming up on that, what they call the culling. But just about when he's about to do the competition, he runs into Ori, which is a fae or something like that. And so when the two of them are together, sparks literally fly, their magic reacts to each other and like amplifies, and so they're like going around trying to clean up their messes that they're accidentally making, but then it's making more messes. So I'm excited to see how those two parts of the story come together. Then we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Her and her husband were there, and she was signing, and they gave us like a little bookmark. How cute. It's Tea Time Scoundrels. Cute. I don't really know entirely what this story is about. I do know that my friend Joanna, also here on YouTube, so I'll link her down below, she loves this author. She loved this book, and I'm just excited to check it out. I think it has to do with tea having magic. No, but we're in a magic world. It has to do with a tea room. On the streets of White Roaring, Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and collector of secrets. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by night, catering to the vampires feared by society. It looks like she gets wrapped up in some sort of conspiracy theory, and it ends up being much bigger than she ever anticipated. Wow, that sounds fun. I went to another author event, and it was called Dinner with the Authors. It was really amazing, and I just had the best time at it. And one of the speakers, one of the authors, was Abby Jimenez. She was so poised and so well spoken and like subtly funny, not like a slapstick funny, but like, you know, she would slide it in there and make the crowd like chuckle, you know? It was just really cool meeting her, and we got this book just for the summer, which is really awesome because I was considering buying this. So I'm really glad that I didn't, and then I got this and I got it signed. So that was really awesome. There were so many amazing authors signing books. It was just really cool. This is actually part of your World series. It's the third book in the series, but I hear that you could read them all standalone and have no issues with it. The tagline says, 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup. That's all it will take to find their soulmate. Apparently Emma is cursed when it comes to love. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one afflicted by this condition. Apparently they find each other, and if they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. This sounds really sweet. At the end of the TLA conference, the exhibit hall closes down, and a lot of the publishers that had traveled like really far, like Simon & Schuster, for example, came from New York. They bring all of these books, all of these things, and they don't want to take it back. So a lot of the booths give away their books for free. First things first, I stopped at Source Books, and I'm currently reading it, so it's up at the main house. But I got Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I finally picked it up, and I'm already halfway through it. That book is about a woman who is kind of down on her luck. She gets a call from her sister, who is notoriously toxic and just not a good person, asking for her help and money again. And so she rides to the rescue one more time and find out that the townspeople hate her. Oh, and by the way, that her twin sister also left behind an 11-year-old daughter while she goes off on some scheme. And so Naomi is trying to kind of piece her life back together while also becoming a guardian for her 11-year-old niece. And Knox kind of really doesn't like Naomi because he is attracted to her and he really doesn't want to be, and he knows that Naomi would be like a long-term situation, and he doesn't do long-term, you know, he's one of those guys. Knox really reminds me of Hunt from Crescent City. You know, minus the wings and the magical powers, but that's kind of how the vibe I'm getting. So that was the first book I got. The second book I got was Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin. I don't really know much about this except that it's a young adult fantasy novel. Ooh, look at that map. Next I went to the HarperCollins table, and this was the book that I wanted, like, hands down, period. I had kept my eye on it all week, and that was Imogen, obviously! by Becky Albertalli. I have been wanting to read this so badly, but I've been trying to wait until paperback comes out, which it is about to come out. But I got this free, so absolutely no complaints here. I've heard so many good things about this. So apparently Imogen has herself surrounded by a lot of queer friends, and she's super world's greatest ally, and she's bringing her ally A game and supporting Lily. But even if that means bending the truth just a little, like when Lily drops a tiny queer bombshell, she told all her college friends that Imogen and Lily used to date, and none of them know that Imogen's a raging hetero. Not even Lily's best friend Tessa. The more time Imogen spends with chaotic freckled-faced Tessa, the more she starts to wonder if her truth was ever all that straight to begin with. So I hear it's like a coming of age, she's going to college, lots of queer, fun goodness. So that was when I was like super excited to pick up. But then a lot of the other HarperCollins stuff had already been picked up. There wasn't as much young adult as there was like children's stuff. So I got these two, which I wasn't too familiar with. but they do look very interesting. So first we have Icarus, which I recognize because I saw Jack Edwards talking about it on one of his channels. This is like a young adult retelling of Icarus, and yeah, it just sounds fun. This one is called The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin, which I do have 2 of her books. I have Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey. I haven't read them yet, but I know she's a very popular fantasy author, so I thought, wow, this looks really cool and interesting. So The Scarlet Veil, also look at that. Love that. Love the detail. Love never dies. So it looks like CLA is a huntswoman, the first huntswoman. Whispers from the Past still haunt her. Is this a sequel? No, it's not. Okay, well. Also, from the last day, we had Always Practice Safe Hex. I love this Day of Spell series. It is so good. This is the 4th book. It was the only one available when I went up there, and I said, why not? Because it's my favorite of the series. This one in Wolf Gone Wild, the 1st book. Love this series. It follows 6 sisters living in New Orleans in kind of like a paranormal romance situation. There are werewolves, witches, Grimms, and I'm missing one. I am missing one. Vampires. How could I forget the vampires? And they all kind of live in this like human slash paranormal world. The oldest sister, Jules, not this book, but another sister, she is kind of the leader of the paranormal side of things, making sure things go smoothly, making sure that humans don't get taken advantage of. It just follows these sisters. Each one gets a different story. So this one follows Livy and Garrett, one of my book boyfriends. This book is hot. Then from Disney, I got Bite Me Royce Taslim. I've heard about this from a few different people. I really love stories with the setting in Asia because it just is very nostalgic for me. I just heard that it's kind of like rivals to lovers situation. So apparently for Agnes, things just kind of are falling apart, but she needs a scholarship, and so the last available one that she can find is for an international stand-up comedy contest. And the last person she expects to be up against is also the last person she wants to see, Royce. Because for years, Royce has been one-upping her on the field without even breaking a sweat. And now here he is getting in her way again. Apparently they get to know each other, and as the competition heats up, so do things between these 2 rivals. I heard it's funny, love the setting. And the last already published book that I got from publishers is Ocean's Godori. This is a South Korean space opera. How fun is that? A thrilling adventure across the solar that delivers hyperkinetic action sequences, an irresistible will they won't they romance alongside its nuanced exploration of colonialism and capitalism. Ocean's Godori ultimately asks, what do we owe our past? How do we navigate our present while honoring the complicated facets of our identity? What can our future hold? So that is it for the published books that I was able to pick up. Actually, there were a few more, but I already donated them to the library that I work at or to my mom's library. Let's move on to ARCs, and some of these I am so excited about, you guys. Number 1, most excited to read from my ARCs. I was shook that they had this available. The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Christina and Lauren are my queens. Some of my auto-click authors, auto-buy authors, so I'm like literally so ecstatic to have this. It is a marriage of convenience becomes inconveniently real in this delicious new romance. I don't even, like, honestly, I don't even know what exactly it's about because it's just Christina Lauren, and I'm gonna read it because it's Christina Lauren. But this does come out on May 14th. Okay, the next most excited I am to read is the Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I got to speak to and see Catherine Center like 3 or 4 times during this conference. I swear she was like a fairy godmother, like fluttering around everywhere signing books and giving them away. Literally so freaking sweet. Her line was so long because she was literally stopping and talking to everyone, like actually talking to them. That really stuck with me. So the Rom-Commers is her next novel. It's actually set in the same world as The Bodyguard, which is so fun. I didn't know that before this conference. We have this guy who writes screenplays, and he wrote a rom-com, but apparently it's terrible. So this lady was hired as kind of like a ghostwriter situation to help him make the screenplay better. He doesn't believe what she's trying to say. He doesn't get it. So she's like, okay, we need to go and do these things and I will show you how unromantic or not funny they are, versus showing him the things that she's trying to get him to do that are romantic or funny. Sounds like a misadventure occurs a lot, and then it's really funny. Okay, I still haven't read the first one, but I was still really excited to meet Stephen Rowley. He was so funny and really sweet when I got to talk to him. So this is The Guncle Broad, the companion novel to The Guncle, where a man gets bad news about his sister passing away, and he kind of gets guardianship of his niece and nephew for a little while. I think it's just during the summer, but this is the companion novel, and apparently they go abroad. Next was The Blonde Dies First by Joelle Wellington. She was on that young adult thriller panel. Super funny. The way that she described this made it seem so interesting, but like still humorous, which is kind of what I need. I need that little bit of a balance when I'm reading these like thrillers and horrors. This is like a satire about the blonde person always dying first in, you know, like a serial killer situation. And so it follows a group of friends where a demon has like latched onto one of them and is trying to kill all of them. Next we have A Crane Among Wolves, which is a young adult fantasy. It's like a South Korean historical retelling, but like in a fantasy world, like with a fantasy twist, from the Joseon Dynasty. I used to live and teach in South Korea for 3 years, so I'm like obsessed with anything South Korea, so that just sounds really fun. Also, look at this cover. I kind of love these ARCs with the like white frame around the edge. I think that looks really cool. Speaking of that kind of ARC, we also have the Spin-off Fame. 12-year-old Evie Mae Huang works in her mom's tailor shop but hates it because her mom is dead and she's not there to help anymore and she misses her mom. Apparently a talking monkey shows up and tells her that her mother was actually the head of a guild of magical weavers who can change the fate of a person with only a spool of thread. Turns out she's not dead, but she's trapped in the Chinese underworld and only Evie can get her back. Sounds fun and eventful. Okay, next, I know this is silly, but I used to be obsessed with Tinkerbell. Like those Disney Tinkerbell movies, I watched every single one of them multiple times. So when I saw that Tinkerbell has her own like young adult or like middle grade novel, I was like, okay, I need to read this. So this is Tinkerbell in the Lost City, part of the Bleak Watch Chronicles. Kind of like a mystery situation, a whodunit, and Tinkerbell and her friends have to figure out. Next we have Masquerade by O.O. Sangoyomi. Oh, this is adult. I thought it was young adult. Cool. Her rise to power paid in blood. Set in a wonderfully reimagined 15th century West Africa, Masquerade is a dazzling lyrical tale of exploring the true cost of one woman's fight for freedom and self-discovery, and the lengths she'll go to secure her future. Also, look at this cover. Phenomenal. Okay, we have Foul Days by Geneva Dimova. This is part of a series coming up. The Witcher meets Naomi Novik in this fast-paced fantasy rooted in Slavic folklore from an assured new voice. Sounds pretty cool. Also, look at that cover too. Very interesting. We're running out of space here. Also part of that young adult thriller panel I told you about, we have Now Conjures by Freddie Kolsch. Freddie was also really fascinating to listen to. The way that her brain works and her imagination is really fascinating. She had probably the most unique answers and I really appreciated that. I don't even know what this is about. I'll put a little blurb here for you. Next we have Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland or Roland. I heard that this is like a women pirate novel, and I was sold. Okay, so not a women pirate situation, but still a pirate situation, which is pretty fun, but I do gotta say, I was more excited with the women pirate situation, but that's okay. It does look like it might be queer, so that sounds like it'd be fun, and it sounds like it's like asking for help from an on-again, off-again ex who is a pirate. And that's where that comes in. 12th Night by Alexine Farrell Fulmuth is a young adult novel about this girl who's on the student body council and like the president is really annoying and lazy and blah blah blah. So the way that she relaxes and reduces stress from that is she does this one game called 12th Night, but she kind of pretends to be more masculine because gaming situations are always known to be as friendly to girls and women. And then the president, the annoying president that we mentioned, is also on the football team and gets a really bad injury. So he is bored and decides to get on 12th night. And apparently the two meet virtually and create an unexpected friendship that's also anonymous. Next we have The Fate of Magic by Sarah Rosh and Beth Revis. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not because it is book 2. It is the second book in a series that I'm not really sure. It says every witch needs a warrior. I'll put a little blurb up here. Oh, but it is a duology. That's nice. I like duologies. Then we have Plain Jane and the Mermaid. This is a middle grade graphic novel about a girl like in, you know, the past in history. She gets booted out of her family house because her parents died and the next male person owns the house and kicks her out. And then the guy that she likes, who she's trying to marry so she can still get an inheritance, gets captured by a mermaid, like a siren. So I started it. I will probably donate this to the library afterward, you know, so that they can see if any young readers would like it. Then we have Past, Present, Future by Rachel Lynn Solomon. It is the second book. It's a sequel to Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I don't know if I want to read it. I just recognized it and grabbed it, and then I realized it was a sequel after the fact. So we will see. If not, I will donate it or put it in a little free library. Then we have Drown Me with Dreams by Gabby Burton. Look at this stunning cover. Also a sequel. It's the sequel to Sing Me to Sleep. And they say that it's perfect for fans of Fourth Wing and These Violent Delights. A siren assassin falls for a forbidden man. Interesting. Then we have Hurdles in the Dark by Elvira K. Gonzalez. This is a local author and it is a memoir about her experiences. She apparently was arrested at some point or another, and it is her rise from, you know, from prison and then her going to school and becoming a hurdler and like showing that people can come back from the valleys of their lives. Next is The City Beyond the Sea, the Greenwild series by Pari Thompson. I also met her. She was really sweet, but really soft-spoken, so it was hard for me to hear her because it was very loud in there. This is the second book in the Greenwild series, and while the first book looked so cute and I would have absolutely loved it as a middle schooler, I don't know if I want to keep this. I feel like it's a continuation, so I would definitely want to read the first book, but I don't know if I want to buy the first book, so we're still considering that too. Next we have Hot Boy Summer by Joe Jimenez. This is actually the second time that I've seen Joe Jimenez. He did a panel for the San Antonio Book Festival and was really well spoken, just had really great energy. And he wrote his first fiction novel called Hot Boy Summer. It's very queer. It's kind of about friendship and what it's like having friendships outside of your economic class, toxic friendships, and what can you learn from those friendships? How much should you rely on them? Are they your ride or die, or do you just say thank you and move on? Those kind of things. We have Olive Blackwood Takes Action by Sonia Thomas. This one sounded really cute. Apparently this girl, Olive Blackwood, is wanting to become a director of movies, so she's filming things randomly, and when she's filming something she accidentally films an attack on Oregon's beloved state animal and her video goes viral. So now she's kind of like, this isn't what I meant to do, but she feels responsible for seeing her video come to be helpful for situations, and then I think someone's kind of coming after her. Will this actually make a difference, or will she ever stop being scared to stand up for what she believes in? Then we have A Family of Killers by Bryce Moore, also part of the thriller panel. Bryce Moore was really funny. I got to talk to him a few times during the TLA conference, and just witty and funny and kind of goofy, but really clever and smart. He's also a librarian, so I thought that was really cool. This follows a boy. I don't know if his family was the family of killers or the family of killers kills his dad and he goes to try and find out what happened to that situation. Next we have A Song of Ash and Moonlight by Claire Legrand. This is the second book in the Middle Mist trilogy. Unfortunately I wasn't able to get the first book. I tried, but someone snatched it before me, which is okay. So again, I don't know if I'll be keeping this or not. I want to read the first book. Luckily my library does have the first book, so that could work out. And last but not least, we have Hearts of Fire and Snow by David Bells and Guadalupe Garcia McCall. This is the same authors who did the Aztec mythological retelling, but like in modern times. And so this is another one of those retellings, and this is Greg and Blanca are drawn to each other by something strong. Their fates were intertwined centuries ago. In his first life, Greg was Captain Popolka, and Blanca was the reincarnation of Princess Iztak. Alright, my friends. Here we are with my haul from my Texas Library Association conference. It was amazing. I am just in awe of all that they were willing to give to us librarians and book lovers. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing if you aren't already. Lots more content coming soon now that my semester is wrapping up soon. And then I have a ton of videos planned. So look forward to that. I hope to see you then. And I hope you're doing well whenever and wherever you're watching this video. Bye everyone.